Welcome to this first video in the Statistics and Probability unit. Today we're going to be looking at calculating measures of centre and spread. The learning goal for this one is that you can calculate mean, mode, median and range for particular data sets, and at the end of it you want to be able to calculate those three different things, interpret what the measures of centre mean for a particular data set, and to be able to calculate the range of a data set. Okay, what do we mean by average? So averages sort of pop up everywhere, and it's sort of a non-technical term of what's called in mathematics the measures of center. Okay, and it's like saying if I had a data set, all these numbers and stuff, what does the middle part of it look like? Okay, what are we typically going to get if we if this thing happens? Okay, so for example, one of the a good one to think about is sport. My favorite being cricket. So cricket averages. Okay, so for example, if someone was to say, hey, what's that batsman like? Well, it wouldn't be any much help if you just got out a score sheet and started reading off every single score that particular batsman had made, because people wouldn't really get a flavour for it necessarily, because there'd be numbers sort of all over the place, up, down, all over the shop, right? So instead, what they do is they give the average that batter made, which is sort of like an expected value that they should get whenever they go out there to bat. Okay, so for example, the most famous one is that of Don Bradman. And so his test average, so in test cricket, was 99.94. Okay, and so that meant that every time he went out to go and bat, he was going to make probably 99.94 runs. Okay, so pretty much every time he walked out there, he was making a century. Okay, so it's kind of sort of crazy, most insane average they reckon in all of sport, but that's that idea of averages and how we can see it happen. What's the most typical value we're going to see when Don Bradman went out to bat? Pretty much 100. Okay, so let's have a look at some of these key ideas. Oh, well, by the way, we're going to also be looking at median and mode as well, which are other different ways of talking about the middle part of a data set. Okay, all right. So let's have a look at some key ideas. So the mean of a data set is what we commonly call, as I said before, the average. It loosely describes the center of a data set. Okay, you'll see as we move through this that the mean isn't necessarily the best measurement of the center of a data set, especially when certain things are the case. Okay, now it's calculated using the following formula. Now, when we're using formulas now, so you need to write the formula first when you're using it. Okay, so make sure to state the formula. Okay, so when we're doing things with formulas, you've got to write the formula first before you go to use it. Okay, and that formula is the mean equals sum of values divided by the number of values. Okay, or we can write, which is probably easier, mean is sum of value over number, or I'm happy for you to write the sum over the number. Okay, even that's easy. Okay, now if you're feeling particularly technical and mathematical, the mean can also be written as this x with a line over the top of it. Okay, and this means we say that x bar, okay, with a bar over the top, and with this formula here, x bar is equal to, this big thing here means it's mathematical for sum of x, all the x values, divided by n, the number of values there are. Okay, so if you don't get that, that's totally fine. You can stick with the word version of it, or the sum over num, that kind of stuff. That's totally okay. Just want to show you maybe an easier, quicker way of doing it. Us mathematicians can be very lazy sometimes, and we like to find shortcuts of writing stuff, especially when we can. So, for example, let's have a look at how we were going to use this. So, I'm going to calculate the mean of this data set. So, a data set is just a whole bunch of numbers or values or things sort of collected together that we're going to study and have a look at. Okay, so we will write the formula out, which is that the mean is equal to the sum over the number. Okay, so we're going to sum all of these values together, which means 10 plus 7 plus 3 plus 4 plus 8 plus 2 plus 6 plus 5. Okay, and then put that all over the number of them. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them, all divided by 8. Okay, pop that in your calculator. So you can either add all these values up first and you would get 45 over 8, or you can just sort of type that entire fraction into your calculator. We'll talk about how to do that in class, and just press enter and you will end up with it being equal to, better give myself a bit more space here. You'll end up with it being equal to 5.625. Okay, so that's how you go about calculating that particular measure called the mean. Okay, the median is another description of the center of a data set. Okay, the median is actually a better example of the exact middle of a data set, okay, which is particularly important for certain types of data. Okay, now rather than there being a particular formula for the median, there is a process that we go into instead. Okay, so firstly is we organize the data set in ascending order. So it's really important. So ascending order means going from little to big. Okay, then we count the number of values in the data set. So I'm going to show you how that works. So let's do that first step here. So if we have an odd number, we're going to put this in ascending order. So we're starting with a 1, 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, 9. Okay, if we have an odd number, the median is simply just the middle value in that set. So that would be this one here, directly in the middle. And so here we would state that the median equals 7. Okay, so it's directly the perfect middle of the data set. Okay, right. If we have, however, an even number of values in the data set, so let's arrange these in ascending order. So we're starting with 23, 25, 28, 29, 32, and 36. Okay, so if we have an odd number there, the median instead this time is the average of the two middle values. So here's our two middle values here, 28 and 29. So remember, to find the average, we add them, divide by the number that there are. So the median is equal to, we add them together, so 28 plus 29, there's two of them, divided by 2, and it is 28.5. Okay, so that's how we find our median for our two different cases there. All right, a couple more for us to look at. Okay, the mode is the most common value in a data set. It's quite an easy one to calculate. Well, it's not even really a calculation to choose. However, it's not a very powerful measure of center and it isn't often used. Okay, so basically just look for whichever one happens the most. And sometimes there is only one mode happening in a data set. So we've got a 3, a 5, a 2, 8, 9, and a 2 and a 2, and a 10. Well, which one's occurring the most? The 2 here. So we would say that the mode is equal to 2, but sometimes we can have more than one mode. Okay, so in this data set, we've got 4, 6, 2, 1, 8, 3, 8, 1, and 11. You can see we have two 1s here and two 8s. So we would say that the mode is equal to 1 and 8. Okay, with a comma between them. That one's sort of said bimodal, or you can multimodal is another way of saying it. It doesn't really matter other than you're able to sort of recognize that there's a mode and then report it. Okay, lastly, we have this thing called the range. Now, we've just been looking at measure of center, so mean, median, and mode. That's talking about what's the middle part of the data set like, okay? Whereas range says, what's the spread of it? Like, how big is it? How far is it from top to bottom? Okay, and so it's very easy to calculate. So our range is the difference between the highest and lowest values. So highest minus lowest. So if we've got our data set here, 4957872. So we write out our formula first. So range is equal to highest minus lowest. Highest value here is 9. The lowest value here is 2. So 9 minus 2 is 7. So the range of that data set is 7. Okay. Now some of these things you might have seen before, but we're going to be extending them as far as what do they mean, how can I apply them, how can I analyze them into our, especially getting towards our assignments and things. Okay. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you at school. Bye.